Look at the history, and if you read that thing by Myrna, it's funny that it's like IPT kind of it was a little bit backwards because in some respects, Gerald Claremont was a psychiatrist, but he was really kind of visionary, and he was one of the first kind of guys to really think about psychotherapy as being, this was on the East Coast, and psychotherapy was hot and heavy, especially psychoanalytic psychotherapy on the East Coast still is. But also, too, what had just emerged was the evolving pharmacologic work with tricyclic antidepressants and the growing literature, the growing idea that there may be some biological basis for depression. And so then Gerald was one of the first to think about, okay, we're going to use this idea about can you develop a therapy that you could compare to a pharmacologic intervention in terms of like how do you package a therapy to kind of like mimic a drug. But it was very visionary in that respect, and so what they wanted to do is that they wanted to, and at that time Beck's CBT for depression was really making inroads. This would have been the late 60s, early 70s when this got started. And so they wanted to think about a therapy that was being currently used, that was kind of like what people typically use in practice. And so then they went to the literature, they also went to kind of like the theoretical literature, and really started thinking about what do people do, what are things going on, et cetera, et cetera. And as a result of kind of constructing, it was interesting, they were kind of constructing a treatment, and then it's almost as though the theoretical, the theoretical platform then fit nicely over what they had developed. So it was interesting, it didn't emerge first theoretically and then procedurally. It was almost as though it was a procedural, it evolved procedurally, but then all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, this fits so nicely with this theoretical perspective. So really that's kind of how it evolved. And we'll talk about the problems too, because it's really interesting, it's fascinating as well.